All right, we have a bunch of mics rolling, and here we are with 2024. These are our favorite movies of 2024. If you have a different opinion, share your own. Let's introduce ourselves. Chad, do you want to?
I'm Chad. I've seen 50 new movie releases in 2024, so haven't seen them all. There's a lot that I still wish I saw. We have a pretty good collection of movies that we're picking from.
Hi, I'm Brian. I saw about 66 movies this year. I wouldn't say it's like the greatest year, but I've seen worse. So Chad and I are here to talk about what's good, what's bad, what's ugly, and what really surprised us. The first thing I want to do, I'd like to revisit last year because I think the important thing to do before we look at 2024 is to fix 2023. So I just dropped a top 10 list of what our favorite movies were last year. That was the big thing that I noticed was we had 9 different movies on our lists last year. I told you that one of these things I was not very happy with being in my top 10.
Yes, and I have no idea what it is unless it's like the Society of the Snow, which I never saw.
The first thing you might notice, not a lot has changed in the top 5 or 6, but something did sneak up there.
Okay.
Low-key, I'm like, yeah, I was a little harsh on that. My love for Blackberry has not gone away. I've actually rewatched that movie and I still love it. You were kind of dogging on me for Spider-Verse, but I actually own the second Spider-Verse, so you know what? Yeah, it's in there. It's in there.
Yeah.
And I actually just saw the Iron Claw like last month for the first time ever. The Oscars snubbed that one dirty.
Absolutely.
Zone of Interest is still more of an art house thing than a movie, but like still a good like art piece. Big risers in my mind are The Holdovers, Spider-Verse, probably Talk to Me, honestly, because that's another movie that I've rewatched. I really just took the same 15, 17 movies or so and just shuffled them around.
Very nice.
Have you figured out the movie that I dumped?
Is May, I mean, I see May December is still in the honorable mentions.
It's Past Lives.
All right, yeah, that's one that did not even make my honorables last year.
I remember watching it and I thought it was really well made, but like a part of me was like, this is Oscar bait.
I think your new list looks very nice, and obviously a lot of my top 10s now became your top 10s. So obviously I'm going to agree with it. I think mine is actually kind of similar, that my list is going to look a little more like your list after the revisions. The one addition is Anatomy of a Fall, because I was looking back at my top 10 when you texted it, and I was like, I put all these movies above Anatomy of a Fall, and I was like, oh, I hadn't seen it yet. The other two that are moving up are Killers of the Flower Moon and The Zone of Interest. I had both of those in my honorable mentions. Those are like very important movies and are going to have way more of a cultural impact than a lot of the stuff on my list. And I did really enjoy them when I watched them as well. I would drop my 8, 9, and 10 out, so Goodbye, Bottoms, Barbie, and Mission Impossible, Although I Love You. And I will put Anatomy of a Fall, Killers of the Flower Moon, and The Zone of Interest as my new 8, 9, 10.
I rewatched Anatomy of a Fall and it still holds up. And The Zone of Interest, yeah, I mean, it is really good. It's just, we have to think like it's not super accessible. At the same time, super important movie.
Agreed.
But Killers of the Flower Moon was one that I like really, really enjoyed. So I appreciate you giving it a second thought too.
Absolutely. I feel like those long movies, some people just can't watch a long movie.
We're going to get to that.
I did think it was really cool that we had 9 different movies in our top 10s, but I think it's also cool that our revised lists have become a little more similar as well.
Also, it's cool, like, you haven't changed any of your top 6, you said.
Yeah, I feel like the rest of those are all gonna stay. Like Oppenheimer's probably ultimately gonna be remembered the most, but my enjoyment of Spider-Verse and Holdovers trumped that for me.
Like, I really thought about it. I'm like, is Poor Things that good? I've been rewatching it time and time again. The interesting progression of her story. I think it's a really interesting production, like the way that it looks. So, I don't know. I find myself more drawn to that than Oppenheimer, but I still love Oppenheimer. So, what you gonna do? It's interesting because I literally, after The Iron Claw, that was my 50th movie of 2023. So I realized I'd only just caught up for you for last year.
Hey.
And so that kind of like, pushed me to, I'm like, you gotta watch more. you gotta get there.
Yeah, you've been making strides this year.
I don't know if you noticed, but we did not mention the D&D movie or John Wick 4 last year, and I liked them. So I just threw them in at the very end of my honorable mention.
That's funny. Yeah, John Wick 4, just more of the same, and then like the last 45 minutes felt unnecessary until like the final battle. Like when he was like calling all people, like there's a hit on John Wick, it's up to $5 million. I'm like, okay, we're literally just gonna watch him kill like 100 random civilians for the next 30 minutes.
You're kind of right. To me, it was like 3 was the one that I was like, come on, this is a lot like the others. And 4, for some reason, shook it up. Everyone has a different one of those they enjoy, I feel, though.
The thing is, I watched 1, skipped 2, and then saw 3 in theaters, and I was like, holy shit, this is one of the greatest action movies of all time. But
like 2 through 4 are very, like, sometimes it's hard for me to even remember which one's which. But I think they're all... I think every one of those movies has decent something. I don't know. It's good, but it's not my favorite.
Yeah.
But D&D was f***ing bad.
Yeah, I love D&D.